Well, looky thar. Hey, folks. Hey, folks. Let me do this. Let me get myself. There we go. That's kind of, I don't know. Anywho, check me out. I'm here. As I promised. Yeah. I am here at 8 o'clock in the evening. Does anybody in the evening even know what the heck's going on when I show up? If there's any friendly faces or friendly folks, just say hey. My name is Beth. I am a decluttering life coach. Destination Declutter. Duck's mom. Irish Pink. Nice to see you. Julie Rose. Nice to see you. Marie D. Jen B. Okay, some friendly, familiar faces. Elaine. Atomic, and Polish, and Nora. Oh, hey, this is very cool. Julie Rose, you're welcome for the late live. It is a new thing for me. I have to be honest. Talk about getting, kind of being in the habit of doing something. I am so in the habit of doing my TikTok lives in the morning or in the afternoon, the late morning, whatever. I'm East Coast. That it never occurred to me to do one at night because I don't coach at night. But I want to be here. I love it. I try to catch you early from California. Thank you. I realize that I am totally East Coast centric. But realizing also looking at my map of where my clients are and people I want to help. Indiana, Katie, nice to see you. Indiana. So here, let me shut that off. Not sure where you are, Katie, in Indiana, but I was in Indiana last week. I had a marvelous time. If you want to see where I went, I actually have, I don't post on it as often as I used to. However, I have a Facebook and Instagram feed called Retro Roadmap. And that is where I posted all sorts of the cool places we went in Indianapolis, in Columbus. I think we were in Franklin for a bit. Coffee lover, hello, I want to get unstuck. I keep building clutter. All right, you know what? Stop it. Just stop it, silly. Just stop it. It's not as difficult as you think. Your brain is going to offer to you that decluttering is going to be painful and traumatic and take forever and it'll never work and all that dramatic stuff. And while it isn't, there's other easier things in the planet, but I got to offer you, it's not that difficult. Robin, thanks for saying you're from New Jersey. Okay, so East Coast is here. Here's what we're doing, folks. All right. Okay, so you're 30 miles from Indianapolis. Not that bad. So welcome, folks. I see people kind of, as I said, like filtering into the room. My name is Beth, and I love it. My name is Beth, Decluttering Life Coach, Destination Declutter. Just remember that. I also want to give a huge thank you to everybody who has followed my TikTok page. I hit kind of, for me, a modest, I think it's pretty cool actually, a milestone number on my followers. And this is really cool for me because it means that what I am offering to the world is there and it's needed by people. So for example, Cynthia, hello, Lucy, nice to see you, Carrie. So I'm a decluttering life coach. I will be here for the next hour to help you with your clutter. I love this, Julie Rose, because you said I clean a surface and 2 weeks later, paperwork again. And I love the fact that you mentioned paperwork because tonight's topic, tonight's theme, tonight's special focus, tonight's category, whatever you want to call it, is going to be paper clutter. Now, of course, we can talk about other clutters, but I know so many people are jammed up with paper, and here's the crazy thing. We were supposed to be like this whole digital free, paper free, whatever you call it, like group of people at this point in our society. And if anything, we have probably more paper than we did back before the digital revolution. Okay. Because think about it, prior to the internet, prior to home computers, nobody had a printer in their house, right? And now we print off stuff and we get stuff in the mail and we don't know what to keep, things like that. Okay, paper clutter is the hardest. Ex-coffee, I'll just say coffee lover. I feel like I will need it later. Okay, I love this because this is how I coach. Is I listen to what you say and I just want you to listen to what you say too. So here's kind of some basics. I want this. The cool thing is what I offer will help everybody who is stuck who's overwhelmed, who doesn't know what to do, doesn't know what to save, these things. What I want to offer you is this. Think about this. You have a thought in your head about paper clutter that makes you feel in your body a certain way about paper clutter. And then you do something with the paper clutter. Or you don't do something with the paper clutter. Okay? All right, everybody. So getting discouraged, and it's hard, and I'm scared, all this overwhelm, I'm a mess. Everybody, just notice how you are presenting your situation. Just get curious about the words you use. And here's something I want you to think about. This is kind of from trust me, I get practical tips like any other clutter coaching type person, but I come to it from a life coaching perspective. And see if this resonates with you. You have a thought in your head about your clutter. That thought in your head makes you feel a certain way about your clutter. Depending upon what that thought is, it either makes you want to cling on to it, hold on to it, or it makes it easier to release it into the world, to say, it's okay, I don't need this. Notice that. So for example, and I'm not going to call out anybody and to make like an example, but no, notice that when you say paper clutter is the hardest. Paper clutter is the hardest is a sentence that's gone through your head. You typed it up, you sent it out here. When you think that something is going to be the hardest thing ever, how does that make you really want to do it? Is that maybe, I don't want to go. If it's going to be the hardest thing, no, I'm lazy. I don't want to do the hardest thing. I want to do the easy thing. Okay? Just notice this. I will offer this. The other hand, so you have an unhelpful thought. Paper clutter is the hardest. Unhelpful thought makes you feel kind of like lack of encouragement, lack of energy, lack of not wanting to do it. So you stay stuck with your clutter. You tend to do the same things. You don't change anything. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, when you notice those kind of unhelpful thoughts and you stop them, you can realize that on the other hand, on the other direction, you can redirect that traffic to the other side. You can create a slightly better thought. I know this sounds kind of woo-woo, but whatever. You can create a better thought that makes you feel better, and when you feel better, you do better. So notice that you feel like I will need it later. I feel like I will need it later. I think I might need it later. And when I think if I don't have it, I'm going to feel kind of like a fear. What if I don't have it? So coffee lover, I will ask you this. Can you think of a specific, I was going to say like piece of paper, but like a category of papers, like one item, one piece of paper that is in your clutter that you are afraid you're going to need it later. Now, here's the wonderful thing. Pop it in the comments and we work on this. Okay. Paper clutter is the hardest because I don't know what to do with it. Okay. I totally get that. Let's figure out what you want to do with it. What is your goal? What is your destination? Why do you have the paperwork? Just get curious about this stuff. Look at this stuff from like fresh eyes. Okay. And ask yourself, why am I keeping this? Usually the paper that we have, and I'm being very general here, but just think about it. We often keep papers because we need to prove something to either ourselves or to somebody else. So like, for example, Kat is saying pay stubs. Okay. You got paid. The money's in the bank. The money is spent. Typically, if you are employed by somebody who pays you and you get a pay stub, at the end of the year, they will give you kind of that, your W-2 or whatever that has all the tax stuff in it. So just get curious about why you save it. Now, the other curious thing to be is, how long do I feel like I need to save this? Okay. And see, already Alexis One Josh is saying, Kat, you don't need it. Ask an employer if you need a copy. Yes, this is the interesting thing too, is think about the fact that, as I said, in the past, back in the day, there was a time when if you didn't have that piece of paper, it would be, you would get in trouble. Like it would be a pain in the butt to try to get a copy of something. Right now, if you think about it, so much of the paper you have is probably a paper copy of something that exists somewhere else digitally. Okay? Notice that. Okay? Bills and receipts. Bills. Bills fall into one of two categories. Think about this. I have bills that come in that need to be paid. That is a category. Bills that need to be paid. When they be paid, when they are paid, then they turn into another category, which is bills that have been paid, and then they kind of turn into just proof that I paid, evidence that I got the bill and I paid it. Notice this, receipts. Now, receipts are an interesting one. I will be honest with you, and this is where it's going to change from person to person. Because, for example, I tend to say, as long as you know you own the item and you're not going to return it, you can probably just do away with the receipt. There are a few exceptions, though, and this will depend on your situation. I say that to think about, for example, if you, I have a client who lives in a zone that has hurricanes, and they have insurance that if something happens to their home, they can get reimbursed for things. And she has a wonderful binder system with all sorts of things. So you may have a legit reason why you're keeping certain receipts from things to prove that you bought something, so in case something happens, you can get reimbursed. That isn't clutter. That's an actual useful item to have. What I'm talking about, the clutter of paperwork, is paperwork that you don't really need, that doesn't serve a useful purpose to you. Okay? Here's the funny thing. Just Me is saying, I have pay stubs back to 1981. Isn't that interesting? You have created kind of the museum of yourself. Look, here's their first pay stub. I probably, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I have a first pay stub for my first job back in the 80s. Because I'm a sentimental person, and I do one box per year, a very thin box. Actually, I've got it down here, if you can see. Down there, see, there's something that needs to be put into it. And then when the year is done, I put the year on it. The year's on it already. I put it down onto a shelf in my basement. And when I'm about 80 years old, I'm going to go through these, each one, and just relive the memories of my awesome life. Okay? Just notice what you save, and when's the last time that you actually went back and needed to use it for something? Okay? Just notice that. Okay? Will I ever need my tax returns from 25 years ago? Probably not. I have all of them. Okay, so you have all of them. I would say this. Do your research. Do not trust just this random person, me, showing up on the internet for the facts. But I am pretty sure that for taxes, just double check me. If I'm wrong, let me know. For taxes, typically they say keep your paperwork and your tax returns for 7 years. Now, if that feels like too little for you, maybe keep them for 10. But necessarily for 25 years, ask yourself why you're saving these. Now, I would say, as far as if you have them, should I shred them? Yes, that is definitely a category of paperwork that if you are getting rid of it, you should shred it because it's got your social security number on it. You don't want somebody stealing it. Okay? But just notice these. Yes, and Mommy Salami is saying, yes, I heard 7 years. Jane is saying 7 years, things like that. But everybody, just take a look. Think about the paperwork you have and why you're saving it. Just ask yourself. User 1996-0256. I shuffle stuff from room to room. Ugh. Okay. Notice that makes you say ugh. Put your own personal, wonderful traffic cop hand up. Your best version of yourself is in your mind, putting up the traffic cop hand. It says, you know what? Why don't we just stop doing that? Shuffling stuff from one room to another is just physically moving it. It's not making a decision. And decluttering at the core is a decision-making process. It really is. Decluttering happens up here long before you move something from one room to another. And this decluttering process is pretty easy peasy. It goes as follows. What is this item? Where's an item? Here. What is this item? Do I want it? If I want it, where does it go? If I don't want it, where does it go? Lather, rinse, repeat. The cool thing is the more you make these decisions, the easier it gets. And here's how it's going to be easier for you to make these decisions is your destination. This is why I call my coaching Destination Decluttered. First of all, I am a traveler. I love to do that, but I love to help people with their clutter. What is your destination decluttered? What does your home look like in your brain when it's decluttered? How do you feel when you imagine your home decluttered? How do you want to feel when you walk into your home decluttered? And also, how does your home function? And I mean that by, can you easily find the things you're looking for? When you find it, are you able to use it because it's of good quality? And when you're done with it, are you able to easily put it back? That's kind of the functionality, okay? The interesting thing is, to me, is paper clutter, to me, is fairly simple. Because paper clutter, usually we think of clutter as a backlog of stuff that I've saved for a long time. So you do need to spend some time. If you want to declutter and you have a backlog of paper and stuff like that, you will need to spend some time going through it and saying, do I have kept this from the past? I am here right now. What day is it? October 3rd of 2023. Holy freakamoly, we are 23 years, almost 24 years into the 2000s, people. Do I really need that paperwork back there? And then ask yourself, when's the last time you were asked to look at it? Just ask yourself these questions and allow yourself the space to answer them, to listen for the answer inside. Like, I can say that. Like, I look at the paperwork we have. Now, I have a fairly simple process in my house. So it is very simple for me to kind of file my paperwork. But the funny thing is, I could probably improve upon it. Like, I know that we get some statements in the mail that I could ostensibly just go paperless for, but we didn't. And my process is simple. It takes like 2 seconds, so it's no big deal. But so get curious about your habits. Are there things that you currently get in the mail that you could consider maybe going paperless? Now, that is going to be completely up to you as far as your comfort zone, okay? But it is an offer, okay? What else do we have? Okay, pay stubs, charging for paper bills in the mail. It is so true. What else do we have? Okay. Alexa's, I love it when people, and I do, so just in case we haven't met yet, I'm Beth, Destination Decluttered. I'm a decluttering life coach, and I do TikTok lives quite often, usually in the morning. I'm East Coast, so this is rare that I show up. So if we haven't met before, hey, how's it going? And hey, you, I want to be Aunt Mary Pat. Hey, you guys, how's it going? Go Wiggles. What do I want? How long should we keep a paid bill? How about this? How about until the next cycle comes around? So for example, you get the bill for your gas, your whatever, your credit card, your, Verizon, your AT&T, your T-Mobile, whatever it is, you pay the bill. You write down, I paid the bill. You put it away. The next month, another statement will come in. That statement will say, yes, we got your money. You paid that bill. Technically, you don't need to keep it anymore. The only thing you might want to think of is if you are claiming any of the things that you were paying on your taxes. If you are doing that, it's possible that if you get audited, you might need to provide some documentation of what these charges were. Now, the funny thing is everything I just mentioned, your PICO bill, now I'm in Pennsylvania, so I say PICO, but like your electric bill, your cell phone, any of these things, I betcha you can go and sign on to their website, and if you didn't have it, you could download a PDF of it. Okay? So just notice it. Julie Rose is saying, I keep bills for 1 year and then toss. I kind of do the same thing. I file it away kind of in that, what's the word I want to use? Like that peace of mind. I've got it written there. I should have just read it. Peace of mind makes me feel safe and secure in case somebody wants to, say, well, did you pay that bill? Yes, I've got this thing right here. For about a year, but then I clean out my little storage, my little filey thing, and I go and I put the stuff in a bag to bring to a shredding event. Okay, yes, if you have an home office space, if you're claiming things on taxes, you know what your situation is, but for the regular everyday person, you probably need to keep far fewer items than you have. Just notice that. And get curious about it. What else? How do you catch up on things you put on the back burner when everything is still going forward quickly? Andy, you notice that you have the ability to slow stuff down. You do. Notice that your brain is offering you, everything is still going forward quickly. Things are moving forward, but maybe not as quickly as your brain is giving you. Your brain is going to, okay, so your brain, this is how I look at my brain. I like to use like a, what do I want to call it? Like a road trip based thing. That's why if you look behind me on my thing here, I've got like a map pin and then a car and a little dotted line towards your destination. I use this when I'm coaching. So what I call your unhelpful thoughts are like, everything is still going for everybody's so creative. Everything is still going forward so quickly. I got to put things on the back burner. Everything's going forward so quickly. That's not helpful. Probably feels lousy when you think of that. Oh my God, everything's going by so quickly. This is when I say, when you get kind of that overwhelmed feeling, calm down, slow down, quiet down, breathe down, slow down. Get your own little traffic cop hand and say, whoa, hold on, that's not helping me. I like to call these your backseat drivers. They like to keep you busy and spinning so you don't change. Now, you know your life better than I do. Maybe yours is legit 24/7. Everything all the time is going forward quickly. But I will offer to you, if you just paused and calmed down, you could say to yourself, like, is that really true? Do I have 20 minutes today to even just go through some of my paperwork? Okay, I don't have 20 minutes. Maybe I've got 10. But I bet you have time to do some of this. And I think of two things that I want to offer to all of you is a little bit. Every little bit helps. And showing up for a little bit and chipping away at something can often be a lot more powerful. It can remind you of the power of even just a minute or two. Now, here's something I want to offer. Now, where I am, it's 8:22 in the evening. Maybe it's earlier where you are, you do you. But I know when I show up and do these TikTok lives in the morning, in the afternoons, oftentimes people are like, oh, you know what? I can put her on speakerphone. I can put on my earbuds. And while I'm talking here, you could listen to me while you're decluttering. You could. Now, paper is going to be a little bit different. Usually that works for surface clutter. When I coach, I talk about surface, stored, and sentimental clutter. And so things that you need to think about, like, what is this? I need to listen to my head more than you listen to me. So this may not be a good time for you to go through paperwork, but just notice these things. Okay? But notice when you say everything is still going forward quickly, slow that down and say, wait a minute, how can I slow this down so that I can get to the things that I put on the back burner and get myself caught up? And you have the power to do that. Just notice how you're using your time, how you're using your thoughts, and even a couple of deep breaths, regulating your nervous system so you feel better. And when you feel better, you do better. Now, Felice Brown, this is interesting. What if someone's husband ruins the wife's decluttering process? Now, my husband's in the other room, and so I know kind of from whence you speak as far as the husband thing goes. But what I will just ask you to think about, and everybody, here's what I would love to offer to you, is think about, oh, Heather, thank you. Thank you for the little heart thingies. I never know what those are, but it always seems nice that it seems like I'm doing a good thing for folks. So thank you very much. You have a thought in your head about clutter that makes you feel a certain way. And when you feel a certain way, you do a certain thing. I have a thought in my head about clutter that makes me feel a certain way and do a certain thing. Your husband has a thought in his head about clutter that makes him feel a certain way about clutter and decluttering, that makes him do a certain thing about clutter and decluttering. Now, what I want to offer to you is it's a kind of a combo. Some of it can be very kind of like a conscious thing, but so many of us, and I bet you do too, a lot of how we continue to be cluttered is because we have habits that keep us cluttered. I come in, I dump my stuff on the table, I go off and do something else. Hours later, I come and it's like, oh, my stuff's still on the table. I leave it there. The next day, I do the same thing. It piles up. Okay? So just notice that everybody has habits. And instead of being judgy, this is when I talked. Remember I said you've got an unhelpful thought on one side that makes you feel a certain way, and when you do a certain thing, it doesn't help. To me, that's judgment. To me, that is like when I feel like, oh, this is going to be hard, it feels lousy, I'm not going to do anything. Why did I do that? Why have I for years? I can't get a hold of this, blah, blah, blah. When you talk bad to yourself, that's being judgy. Again, ye oldie, lovely, stop in the name of love, traffic cop, Diana Ross and the Supremes. Stop, just notice that, pause that, quiet that down, and say, is that really true? Is this way of thinking and feeling helping me to get my house looking and feeling and functioning like I want? Or is it making me feel like crap? Because when I feel like crap, I don't want to do anything. I get stuck in the mud instead of being on the road driving towards what I want to do. Okay? So just notice that. Don't get judgmental, get curious. To me, I like to talk about the opposites of stuff. Now, I'm a certain generation, and I am a Gen Xer, so I tend to talk in pop culture references. So I talk about like the flip side, like on a 45 record or something like that. So like on the one hand, you have the unhelpful thoughts that make you feel crappy, that make you want to stay stuck in the mud. On the other hand, you can create a more helpful thought, and usually the unhelpful thoughts come unbidden. You usually need to practice thinking a more helpful thought that makes you feel encouraged, hopeful, capable of, I can do something like this, and then that's going to be more likely to help you do something with your clutter. Okay, just notice the opposites of this. And one of the things that's on kind of this side of the stuff that's on the tarmac versus just the mud, if we're talking about being like on the side of the road, is that you've got curiosity and love on this side. I talk about this like in your backseat drivers want to keep you stuck. They're going to tell you things to shut you down, to keep you not changing, but you have a co-pilot. You got a co-pilot / traffic cop on your side. This is me, and you have it in your head too. That voice that whispers, you can do this. You've done harder things. This is just a bunch of paperwork. Just sit down. Get curious. Play a matching game. The human brain loves to play pattern matching. It just is fun. Do you remember playing that game? Maybe at your grandmother's house. My grandmother always had a card table set up in the oh crap, what would she call it? I was going to call it the divan in like the sitting room. It was a grandmother's house. Of course she had a sitting room. The divan and the card table. And we used to lay out the cards, and then you flip one over and you tried to make a match, playing concentration. What a feeling of ta-da when you get that match. You can do the same thing. You can categorize your paperwork and get your brain doing the things it likes to do. Okay? Whoops, I got a whole bunch of things here. Yes, I love get curious. It encourages me. Notice that get curious is a thought that encourages you. It gives you courage. It makes you feel courageous. More courageous than shutting you down with judgment and kind of task mastery. I don't like that. I like to say get curious, and I do. Like, why did I do that? I don't know. It's kind of funny. Have fun with it. See, I love this. Carrie Ann, really good point, and that kind of falls under the thing. I've noticed if I take a picture of a room, I look at the picture and fix what I don't like. Yes, that is really a powerful tool. That's one of the tools I use in the toolkit when I'm doing one-on-one coaching, is we take before and after pictures, and I say they take it. I only coach people via Zoom, so they send pictures to me. My clients do, so we can talk about this. But I've noticed it, especially with my ADHD clients, is that things do look different in a picture than they do in real life, and you can get some distance from the situation when it's in a picture versus when it's all kind of too close to you. So that's a great time. Jelly Bee is asking, what time do you go live? Here's how I roll. So I go live at different times of the day, different days of the week. And this is the first time I decided to show up in the evening because people on my mailing list, I have a Destination Decluttered email mailing list. It's free. If you're interested in getting on that, it's at destinationdecluttered.com. I show up different times of the day, but I will tell you that the way you find that out is one of two ways. Is either get on my mailing list. Again, it's free. It's not spam. People will testify, I send the good stuff to the people on my mailing list first. The people on my mailing list will always know when I'm showing up on TikTok, when consultations are available to do a consultation if you want to do one-on-one coaching with me, and also when we do a free monthly Zoom just for the people on the mailing list. That's destinationdecluttered.com/join. However, if you don't feel like doing that, that's cool. I'm not going to force you to do anything. You could look at the front page of my TikTok page, Destination Decluttered. On that, I will do a video, and I will always pin it to the top 3 that says TikTok live schedule for this week. You can watch that and you'll see when I'm live. It's different every week because I love having a flexible schedule. I've loved it for my entire life. I have worked retail for decades. I really embraced that flexibility, and I railed against that 9 to 5, 40-hour week, Monday through Friday thing like nobody's business. Okay? User 9877 is saying, you are great at making us feel not guilty or feeling like we can do it. I love it. Yeah, guilt is on this side of the, guilt is on the side of the, if I was to draw a line down the middle right here, think of this. On one side is the unhelpful thoughts, is the guilt, is the fear, is the mud, is the judgment, is all that. That's what keeps you on the side of the road stuck on the mud. On the other hand, on the other side of that line is the helpful thoughts that make you feel better, that give you encouragement, and that make you feel better so you do better. That's the stuff that's not the mud on the side of the road where you keep on spinning. Yes, the Zoom is free, Stephanie Wilson, if you're interested. Is getting on the side of where it's paved, the road that's paved towards your destination. Notice I'm pointing to this little thing, okay? Notice this. It is a practice. It is something you need to get good at. I wasn't for decades of my life. I didn't even know there was another way of thinking except for doom and gloom and this is just how it is. And, I listened to the Smiths. I grew up in an Irish Catholic family in Massachusetts. I mean, it was for decades. But the few glimmers of awesomeness that I found when I decided to go for something I wanted really proved that when you did it, when you did the thing you wanted to and it worked out was awesome. Okay. So I just wanted to offer that. All right. Let me make sure. I know there's a lot of comments going by. Feel free to chit chat amongst yourselves. I do love this. I will say one of the things that I think is really cool about the folks that I have met kind of both as clients and people who show up just on my mailing list and here on the TikTok lives that we have a nice little back and forth is what a great little community comes together every time I do a TikTok live. I say this because while I am trying to string together a coherent sentence to answer the questions that are popping up like nobody's business in front of me, invariably somebody else who's in the comment section can see a question that I haven't gotten to yet, and oftentimes they try to help people with information. This is wonderful because what I want you to remember is just because you're struggling with a segment of your life is kind of cluttered, you also have so much to offer. Even if you're struggling with clutter, you may have something that somebody else could benefit from. We're all here to help each other, okay? I am only here because I want to help you, because I know how much of a difference having a home that looks and feels and functions like I want it to has helped me. And you know what it helps me do? You guys, it gives me more time to do the stuff I want to do. I don't want to be doing decluttering and doing housework all the time. I want to be out living. I want to be doing the stuff that lights me up. I want to be able to have the time and the space and the peace of mind to do the things that only I can do on the planet. And I want that for you too. Okay. There we go. Noelle is saying, as far as paper clutter, is I match all my bills while listening to music, water bill to water bill, etc. Yeah, make it fun. Here's the funny thing. I think decluttering can be absolutely delightful. We save things because we think we want them. You can ask yourself, when you are decluttering, you're asking yourself, is this thing important to me? Who am I, and is this important to me? And you define yourself by what you say is important and what is not important. So it's kind of like, and this is, I don't know if I want to burst into song from The King and I, but this is like getting to know you. Getting to know you. You get to know yourself by what you keep around you. And you can say, okay, maybe up until now it worked and then it didn't. You can change that in a minute. You can, to me, I'm kind of like, again, it's late at night. I'm of an age, but it's in the evening now. This is when my energy tends to wane, but I would offer this to you. How about waking up tomorrow and saying, you know what? I'm going to do something different today to actually make progress on my decluttering. And please note that it doesn't take, please don't think you need to have a big swath of time to do this. Sure, if you have them, it's great. But man, oh Manischewitz, can you get a lot done in a little bit of time? A little bit here, a little bit there, it adds up. Every little bit counts, okay? Just notice that. All right. Ooh, we got a lot of stuff. Where would we go? Oh, Julie Rose. Oh, thank you. See, everybody's being so nice. Okay, Anastasia, for real. You say, I don't get emails, but I joined a while ago. Okay, so I recently sent out an email, and I will say this to anybody who has signed up and you haven't gotten an email. Please let me know about that, because I have an email server process dealie that I work with. And sometimes there are people's email addresses that for one reason or another get stuck in like the spam filter. Now, I only know if these are legit or not if somebody tells me. So what I would ask is, how about this? Here's my email address, beth@destinationdecluttered.com. If you have signed up for the Destination Decluttered mailing list at my website, destinationdecluttered.com, /join, or down at the bottom of the homepage, there's just a little thing. You put in your email address. You pretend you pretend you're not a robot. You promise you're not a robot. You send it. If you don't get those emails, email me with the email that you signed up for and say, hey, just as a heads up, I'm not getting it. That way I can ask the people who run my email list, and they're really cool. They can also often unlock that. So Anastasia, if you haven't gotten it, let me know. I want to fix it. Okay? There we go. Yeah, Alley Cat, New York, NY. The little bit at a time is so hard for ADHD peeps. It may be more difficult, but I get ADHD in my family. You know what really helps my peeps is using the timer on your phone. You know, using a timer on your phone, saying, I'm going to declutter for 20 minutes. I'm starting my timer now. And when the timer goes off, I can decide whether I want to stop or keep going. There's different ways you can do this. I say this not to contradict you and not to say that you don't struggle with it, but what I want to offer you is a way of thinking, of saying, this is how my brain works, and how can I work with my brain to get the result I want? And there are ways you can do it. I know myself, I get distracted. I know I can go down the rabbit hole. I know I can be all over the place and have a hard time settling down. But man, once I settle down, I'm in it. And I will shut down my husband. I will be like, shut the door, be quiet. I'm in the zone. I finally got here. I know what it's like. I have, in my family, we have officially diagnosed and medicated. We have unofficially diagnosed by others of us that are unmedicated. We get it all. Okay. Okay, Erin, thank you very much. And thank you for reminding me, Erin, so much of the fact that maybe some of these folks don't know that I do upload these to the Destination Decluttered YouTube channel. So if you just tuned in, or you're like, Erin, you have to jump off, no worries. I'm here for you. I've also been told, and the reason I'm doing all of this stuff that I'm doing is because folks have told me that it's helped. They say, hey, I'm from the West Coast. I'm from Hawaii. Could you show up later so it's not jamming up my day? So I decided to experiment, and I'm here tonight. Tomorrow, I'm not on at all. The next day, I'm on. It's on my TikTok page. You'll see it. But the other thing, too, is that somebody said to me very early on, I've only been doing these videos like consistently for about the last 6 months, and somebody said, hey, do you upload these to YouTube or something? I would like to be able to watch them or listen to them kind of when I have the time. And so it never occurred to me to do that, but somebody told me it, so I do it. So these, if you go to Destination Decluttered on YouTube, you'll see a whole, like a playlist. It just says TikTok Lives. And I upload those pretty much every day. I need to wait until TikTok, processes it and downloads it to my thing, but then I upload it. Okay, there we go. Let's see, where do we go? Oh, there we go. Okay, Sunny 2 Days says, thanks for being on later. I'm in the Midwest and it's nice seeing you tonight. Yeah, okay. See, that's good feedback. Notice when you give me positive encouragement, I am going to be more likely to do things. That's how I coach, is let's encourage each other. Let's encourage you. When you discourage yourself, when you say it's not good enough, it's not perfect, I'll never get there, that does not help you want to show up the next day. Okay? Notice that. So I will, maybe not all the time, but at least once a week. Maybe once a week I will show up in the evening. It may not be too late, and frankly, I'll be honest with you too. If you're interested in coaching with me, and you're in a different time zone than me, I do coach with people, but we would need to. We can arrange when a mutual time is. I don't go too late because that's when I know that my energy runs out, and I may not give you the best coaching because I'm tired. And I want you to notice that too. Is when do you organically have time that you can devote to the stuff you want? You are a human being. You're also kind of like a car in that you probably run better with gas in your tank. And when you don't have any gas in your tank, it doesn't run so well. That's the same with the energy we have in our bodies. Okay, notice that. Yes, Noelle. Yeah, ADHD tip, body double. I think a lot of people use the Destination Decluttered video as I do, as a body double, as a a buddy system, that type of thing, to hang out for work. Even listening to a podcast. Somebody asked me, it was so funny. Somebody asked me, like, do you do a podcast? And I was like, all you need to do is not look at the screen when I do one of these TikTok lives. Boom, instant podcast. Notice it. Okay, definitely loving the evening live. Okay, good. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write down more evening lives. And I'm writing it down so I can read it. The other thing I will say that, you know what it was, is usually I have done TikTok lives that are kind of general open-ended things. Today I said, somebody mentioned that they thought it would be helpful to talk about certain, specific categories of clutter that jam you up. So today is paper clutter. So paper clutter that jams you up. Get curious about why you keep it. Also, the other thing is, don't make your saving of your paper systems too fussy. Now, this is where Marie Kondo and I may have differences of opinions. To me, I want to make your paperwork process so simple and easy and take not a lot of brain cells and not a lot of time, so you can be done with it and go off and use your brain cells and your time for stuff you want to do. Okay? All right, I like mornings, evening is great. I'll do a little variety pack. It's like the Whitman sampler. Okay? I usually do them during the week, and it'll be different times of the day. The cool thing is, again, I'm going to just give a plug for the mailing list, destinationdecluttered.com/join. I will always let those folks know first all the good stuff, all the free stuff, and they'll get the first dibs on my coaching. That being said, I will also tell people I like to let people know when I'm showing up. Sometimes I do pop-ups, but oftentimes when I say I'm going to show up, I show up. And you'll find that out by looking at my TikTok page, and the top thing, I've got like some stuff pinned. There's always going to be one, always. I know that's kind of a, superlative word or whatever, but there's always going to be one, if I'm doing TikTok lives, pinned to the top that says, I'm doing a TikTok live. Here is where I'm going to be this week. Okay, Grace, thank you for I love all the positive feedbacks. Okay, everybody, don't worry. Okay, I love it. Thank you for the feedback. Very cool stuff. So what else do I want to say about paper? Oh, here's the thing I would love to mention about paper clutter, which is under the umbrella of, if I've decided I don't want these papers anymore, then what do I do with it? Here's something that has been so helpful to me that I want you to do some research about where you live and see if they do it there too. Is I get, as my mother would say, bored out of my gourd if I'm doing shredding my own house. I find that frustrating. I find it a big freaking waste of my time. I do not want to waste any precious moments of my life doing mundane stuff that I don't have to do. And so I don't want that for you either. I want you to maximize the amount of time you have on the planet doing the stuff that lights you up. And to me, there can be a very simple solution for shredding. This is what I want to offer. If you are on the Google, whatever you use as your search engine, type in shredding event near me. Now, this has been a game changer for me, because what I do now, instead of shredding stuff, we had a shredder for a while, it would jam, it would be stuff all over the place, it just took time, it was just so freaking annoying, is when I have paper that I know I want to get rid of, but it maybe has some sensitive information, or I want to err on the side of safety, and again, I'm all about peace of mind, is to put that paperwork in a paper bag. And every time you get something like that, put this paper bag, I don't know, in a corner of a closet, and look for a shredding event near you. And when a shredding event happens, then bring that paper to the shredding event. Don't waste minutes of each day doing the shredding yourself. Unless you enjoy doing that. You do you. I'm always about you do you. But what I'm in your life to minimize the amount of time that you spend doing mundane stuff and maximize the amount of time that you have to go out and live and do the things that only you can do. Okay? Oops, I just hit the wrong button. I want to see the new messages. Yeah, it generates dust. I'm on my third shredder. Yeah, just do that. Do this for yourself. Shredding event near me. Also kind of under that thing too, if you have, I know this is not under This is not under the paper clutter getting rid of, thing. But if you have electronics that you need to get rid of, also electronics recycling thing near me. Okay, there we go. All right, recycling centers will do it too. Here in Texas, they charge a $5 fee. Okay, notice that. Carrie Ann has a burn barrel. Awesome, burn it. Notice how the things are going to be different for you, for me, where you live, how you live, what you want to do. This is why I love doing one-on-one coaching so much for people, because it tailor makes a process specific to you. Where you get jammed up, where you get roadblocks, we uncover the roadblocks and create a new path. You show up for accountability. I'm not here to sell my coaching, but what I want to say is get curious about what is going to work for you, where you live, how your brain works, what your lifestyle situation is to get the result you want. Okay? Notice that. Yep, sometimes credit unions, chambers of commerce, banks offer shred events. Yes, notice that. Yeah, my shredder is so bulky. Can you imagine, coffee lover, if you today said, oh, there's a shredding event coming up at my local bank or whatever, you could probably get rid of your shredder, and that gives you more space in your house. Okay? So just notice those things. So paperwork, get curious about what you're saving and why you are saving it. Maybe you just got in the habit of it. Now, I work with generations of people. I have anybody from their 20s to their 70s as clients. And I know myself, being kind of in the middle of that stuff, is that a lot of that saving of paper with the older generations is definitely an ingrained habit. That you've done it for so long and you've kept these things. And that's why they probably have what do you call them? Like file cabinets in their house. Again, a pet peeve of my own personal is I freaking hate file cabinets. I think they're clunky and junky. They don't look attractive. I don't want to live in an office. I want to minimize the look and feel of an office in my home. So what I do is I have like a little expando folder with like file that has a handle in it that I shove in a closet. I put my stuff in there. But even if I didn't have that, if I was to start over, I would probably just get a little box. And for the year, when I paid bills, I would put it all in a box. If I needed to find something in there, then I would go and find it. But if not, it would be right there. So even if you have been for decades or years gotten into the habit of keeping paperwork, how about today saying, hold on, that was me then in the past. This is me now. If I keep on doing this, me in the future is just going to have more and more paper. So what can I do right now to increase the likelihood that my future is going to look and feel and function more like I want it to? Okay? Yeah, you can scan stuff. You can save things onto computer. However, I still want to offer. Get curious about the stuff that you're scanning. I am totally revealing my human biases. There are certain things that I just get so bored with, and maybe that's just I want to do fun stuff, but I want to minimize the amount of things that I scan and then I have to label and do I find it. I also think it's okay. If you think about it, you could keep 2 like banker's boxes of paperwork and put them in the closet, and they don't take up a lot of room, but just notice the time you would spend scanning things, okay? Again, I say this about, I reveal as a human my personal biases about not wanting certain things in my house, but you do you. If it works for you, if the time you spend is worth it to you to get the result you want, you go for it. You do it because it's you, okay? That's why I am, as I said, it's not a one size, as square pegs would say, one size does not fit all. Okay, so finding a system that works for you and your uniqueness to get the result you want in the quickest amount of time so you have more years of your life to spend, that's what I'm all about. So anything else from your end as far as paper clutter goes? I'm trying to think of my own stuff. Like let me think. Like important paperwork, you should save in a place that you know where it is, that you can easily access it. And this is going to sound morbid, but I'm going to be morbid. Also, your important paperwork, put it in a place that if you died unexpectedly, people who needed to go through your shit, pardon me, I swear occasionally, but somebody who needed to go through your stuff is going to be able to find your stuff. Now, I helped my mother. She's still alive, but I went up to her house in New England, and I went for like a week, a month, for over a year. And one of the things I did was I literally got rid of 7 to 8 to 10 bags of accumulated paperwork that had accumulated over decades. But what I also did was I found the important paperwork, her will, her, marriage license, whatever the important stuff was, and I put it in a specific place. And I told my sisters where it was too. So make sure you're categorizing your important stuff. Carol is saying, can I come to my house? Nope, can't do it. But the great thing is, Carol, I have been to people's houses, and the heartbreak of it is that if I do it for you, it's like me driving you everywhere. You wouldn't know how to drive a car. It's so much more powerful and meaningful if you learn to do it yourself. And the cool thing is the way I teach decluttering, it is a copy and pastable process that works in so many other areas of your life. It's basically saying, here I am now, and things aren't working. What do I want my life to look and feel and function like? And you can use the same tools that we use to declutter your home to declutter your life, right? Okay. Notice this. User 5949 is saying, parents, old photos don't want, hard to throw away. Yes, you know what that is? When I mentioned earlier, and you can see this if you're just tuning in. Again, if you're just tuning in, Destination Declutter, Decluttering Life Coach, here to help you with your clutter. Follow my page, all that stuff. But if you watch this on the YouTube replay, this will be up probably tomorrow on Destination Decluttered on YouTube, is when I coach, I talk about 3 levels of clutter: surface, stored, and sentimental. Okay? Sentimental is going to be old photos. Sentimental things are going to be the ones that are the most energy consuming for you to figure out, to make a decision on that feels right to you. So notice that. Hard to throw away. Yep, it is. So just notice those things. I always recommend to people, when you are starting to declutter, start in this order: surface clutter, then stored clutter, and sentimental. Okay, leave the sentimental stuff, categorize it, make a box of sentimental stuff that you can go through, but don't try to go through that. To me, the sentimental stuff is like if you haven't been to the gym ever, and you walk into the gym and you try to pick up like a 500-pound like barbell. That's like, what is it? Like the sentimental stuff is like the 500-pound barbell. Start easy. Start with your surface clutter. That's like the 2 and 4 pound weights. What that stuff is anything on a surface, any paper on a surface right now. Gather it up and say, how can I categorize this paperwork? I bet it falls into a couple of categories. If it came in the mail, it's probably you got some junk mail. Recycle that stuff. You've probably got some bills that need to be paid. Open those things up. Recycle the envelopes. Recycle the envelopes. And any other pieces of paper, all the crap that they put in there. Put that in the recycle bin as well. Make a pile of stuff that needs to be actioned. I need to pay this bill. I need to follow up with this. The stuff that you come in that looks like, as I like to call it, the category of, this looks like an important thing, but I don't need to take action, but I feel like I should probably save it. Like those things you get from your insurance company that gives you all like the benefits and stuff. I just put that in a folder and I don't worry about it. But notice that there are different categories of paperwork. And when you bring your papers together and you start to categorize them, then you can save your brain energy by making one decision that fits at that one category. Okay? Maria is asking, you think I should keep our paycheck stubs? I want to offer this. You can if it makes you feel good to do it, but ask yourself why you're saving it. Your employer is kind of bound by law to have that information. If you're not so sure about your employer, you might want to keep it. I'm all about peace of mind. I would much rather, seriously, you overkeep your paperwork by like 25% and feel good, feel confident, feel secure, feel peace of mind because you've got these things, than to say, get rid of 25% more and then feel, oh crap, what happens if I don't have it? Okay. I am all about the peace of mind. And if you think about it, 25% more paperwork literally adds like this much space to, like, that takes up that much space. It doesn't take up that much space at all. It may give you peace of mind. I would say after a year passes and you get your W-2, then you can, after you do your taxes and that's all good, you could probably get rid of those. But you do you, okay? Yeah. Yeah, you gotta, it's just like, and those guys are saying up thread, I just did this, this is why I love to talk about decluttering and pretty much life like a road trip. It is totally different when somebody else does it for you, but man, is it powerful. Think of how your life, the world opened up to you when you learned how to drive a car. It was so different than relying on somebody else to drive you to these few places. As soon as you know how to do it yourself, the world is yours. I was going to say the world is your oyster, but if you don't like oysters, then that's not so great. Okay? Notice that. Okay, what else? I'm only here for about 5 more minutes, and I can already tell myself that I'm running out of words. When my gas tank starts to run low, I struggle with, stuff to say. But I'm hoping this is helpful. What do I want to say? How do you get started on your garage? Funny you should mention it, Murdy Craig. Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, I am doing a TikTok live specifically about the garage. But the cool thing is, you guys, I talk about clutter every day. I live and breathe this stuff. I love it because I grew up in a cluttered home. I know what it feels like. You guys, I so know what it feels like to be cluttered and overwhelmed and not know what to do. And I collect stuff and I think it's going to bring me joy, but it doesn't bring me joy. But now what do I do? Yada, yada. I have so been there. And as you can see, I'm not a minimalist. I collect stuff. All of these little things in here have stuff stored in them, but it's stuff I know where it is. I can easily find it. The thing that cracks me up is I am doing these kind of themed TikTok lives because people requested it of me. I know, however, that the framework I share with you for doing paperwork today, yesterday we did the kitchen, Thursday at noon is going to be clothes, then Friday's going to be the garage. It's the same process. It's literally, what is this thing? Do I want it? If I want it, where does it go? If I don't want it, where does it go? And the best way to think about it is to start at the end. That guy with the business book about habits of effective people or whatever, start with the end in mind. What do you want your garage to look like? What do you want it to feel like? How do you want it to function? Paint the most detailed picture in your brain as you can for any room in your house that you want decluttered. Say, this is how I want it to look and feel and function when it's decluttered. Write that stuff down. Write it all down. The more detail you can add. I was on a coaching call today with a client. I do one-on-one coaching and over Zoom. I don't go to people's houses. And I said, what if this was a thing that if you could write down, it's almost like a shopping list or a wish list that you could hand to somebody. And it's so funny, I have to share, because it's like, I don't know, she's like of a generation that I'm as old as her cool aunt. Let's just say that. But I was using a pop culture reference from the 60s. I was like if I was like, I Dream of Jeannie, and you said, here's the list. This is what I want my home to look and feel and function like. And I could go like this and go, bink, and do it. The more specific your list was of stuff that you wanted it to look and feel like, the more close we could get to it. Okay? So notice that. What do you want your fill in the room of your house to look like? How do you want to feel when you walk in there? Here's a fun thing too, is how do you feel when you walk in there now? What's the opposite of that? And lastly, and especially with garages and kitchens and every room in your house, how do you want it to function? You want it to be easy to use, easy to maintain. I'm all about the ease. Okay? Notice that. Okay? Okay, somebody is saying to keep things. Product warranty info and manuals like coffee makers are a tool. Sure, keep those things. Keep those, but put them in a place that you know where they are in case you need them. Okay? In case you need them. Also, the other thing is too, is if you have that, nowadays you could probably Google, like, how do I program my Mr. Coffee maker? Okay? Okay, Mommy Salami is saying major appliances that you buy, repair receipts on those appliances, all those things, when it serves you a purpose. If you need to claim that on an insurance thing, if you want to replace things, if you're selling your house, there are certain things to consider, but there are also many, those aren't clutter. Those are not clutter. They are useful pieces of paper. Clutter is like your junk mail. Clutter is the receipts from stuff that you bought that you just haven't thrown away, but you save the receipt because you think you want to return it, but then you've already worn it or used it or washed it. Notice that. There we go. Noelle says, if you have stuff you want to get rid of for free with minimal effort, look for a Buy Nothing Facebook group. It is true. Katie says, thanks, Beth. Catch you on Thursday. Yeah. Oh, 9 o'clock. It's 9 o'clock already. All right. So manuals are online also. You know what? You would be very, notice that there's a lot of the stuff that you keep paperwork wise. Again, just get curious about it. Today, after I shut this off, look at the paper around you. I'm looking at the paper around me. Actually, it's not a lot here. It's very little here because I've got a habit of not having a lot of paper. And just get curious, because curiosity is going to open up your mind to a solution to your problem. If you're judgmental, it's going to shut you down. If somebody's judgy, you know how that shuts you down. You want to protect yourself. Okay? Just notice that. All right? Thank you so much for everybody who showed up for this first evening edition of a Destination Decluttered TikTok Live. Again, my name is Beth, but I would so much rather you remember Destination Decluttered. I even forgot it myself for a minute there because I'm getting a little bit tired. But thank you so much for everybody. If you like what you are hearing, I post TikTok videos pretty much daily unless I go off the digital grid, and I'll let you know when that happens. So there are a whole bunch of videos on my page. I also do other TikTok lives in various times of the day. The schedule for that is sent to people on the Destination Decluttered email mailing list. You can sign up for that at destinationdecluttered.com/join. You can also find out information about my coaching, stuff like that on my website. What else? I'm doing a couple of TikTok lives this week. Next week's schedule hasn't been invented yet. It's still up here somewhere. But I will do that and send it to the people on the mailing list first. I will also post it on. Oh, German Made 95. I didn't see you. I see you pop in. Nice to see you. It's so nice to see so many familiar faces or names rather. And lovely to meet all the new folks. Okay. I love that. Trish from Jersey. Nice to see you. Yeah. Okay. Good to know that the Destination Decluttered evening session worked. I'm glad you're feeling inspired. I'm glad you love the mailing list. All sorts of good stuff happening here, people. Let's do this. You know what? We have such a short amount of time here on the planet. Let's make the best of it. Let's just get this crap that we need to do done, and then learn better habits so it's so much easier to maintain our home, so we maximize the amount of time we are just living the life we want to live, okay? That's my goal for me. As a coach, that's my goal for you. Don't you think the world would be so cool if everybody's out there just being the most awesome version of themselves? I think it is. So speaking of the most awesome version of themselves, I'm going to go brush my teeth, wash my face, probably fall asleep in front of an episode of something on the TV along with my husband, and I will see you later, okay? It was lovely to meet you all, and I'll see you again soon, all right?